Inland Empire is the 10th and final film directed by David Lynch and stars Laura Dern, Justin Theroux, Jeremy Irons, and Harry Dean Stanton, and is the story of Nikki, an up-and-coming actress who gets a role in a big picture. However, there's a problem. The movie that they're making has been through some trouble in the past, and in fact, this movie is a remake because the original stars of the film died during the production. So there's something supernatural or something happening around this movie. And soon Nikki begins to realize she is acting like the character that she is playing and no longer herself. And from that point on, the movie just gets weirder and weirder. When watching this movie, it occurred to me that this movie shares many similarities with Mulholland Drive, especially in the story department here. Just like Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire is about a young actress that gets a role in a film, and the movie deals with the duality of people, such as when Laura Dern's character starts acting like her character in the fictional movie in the movie. Now, this first hour of the movie, I was really enjoying myself. There was something mysterious and just interesting about the film that just drew me towards it, and I was liking what I was seeing, although not much in the way of plot was happening, but I was interested to move forward. However, it's after the hour point that the movie begins to slow down a lot for me, and I was on the urge of just complete boredom, and that's a big problem. However, the film does pick up in its last hour. Yeah, this movie's 3 hours long, and it's a tough one to get through, especially that middle hour, because it just comes to a standstill almost. David Lynch has done something here that he's done in the past, just not to this degree. I'm talking about how he tends to drag out scenes longer than actually needed. He did this in Eraserhead. In fact, that movie was 21 pages of script and was turned into a 90-minute movie. Here, it's definitely a movie that's being stretched to 3 hours that maybe doesn't need to be that length. And because of this, the movie drags on a lot when it shouldn't. And it's really upsetting because that first hour is really, really good. And then that last hour is pretty good. But that middle part is just... It's not my cup of tea. And it might have something to do with that David Lynch didn't have a solid script for the movie. In fact, he was basically making it up as he went. He had script pages, but he would basically write them the night before. And in my opinion, that makes for a rather messy movie, which you can't deny that this movie is incredibly messy, and at some points doesn't exactly know what it's wanting to be. And I feel like the first hour is completely solid, and I feel like he originally had that hour written out. But the rest of the movie is just scene after scene of trying to connect things together, and you can infer many things. That's how you do with David Lynch films. You have to piece things together yourself, but some of the clues are there, but some of the clues in this movie are just buried. And not in a sense that they're hard to find, it's a chore of a movie to get through because of how long it is and how boring it can become. And that's my biggest problem with the movie, is the fact that it's 3 hours long and it's stretched out as far as you can go, and a lot of the scenes just feel made up, which they were. However, the one shining thing in the film that kept me going through this entire 3-hour experience was Laura Dern's performance. This is one of the best performances I've ever seen out of her. She is so good in this movie, and this is a very hard role to do. She has to do a lot in this film, and the movie takes her places that I've never seen her go before, and it's honestly very haunting and kind of insane. There's some scenes with her that just make you a little uneasy and uncomfortable, and it's all really good. She has a very commanding presence on screen. She also has a bit of innocence to her, but she also has this dark side and obsession to her that I feel as if Laura Dern herself got obsessed over this movie, and what we're seeing is not the actor's character going insane, but more or less the actor herself. She's just so believable and so good. She makes the movie. Another problem I have with the film is something that you can completely blame David Lynch for, and that's the fact that he filmed the movie on a standard definition camera, and it's very distracting. You could say it gives this feel of grittiness or dreamlike quality, but for me, it's more distracting and basically just very ugly to look at. The movie, on top of being 3 hours long and kind of boring at parts, is also hard to look at. And that's a big problem with the film when you can't look at the screen or you don't want to look at the screen. And I don't know, I just don't like this trend of directors basically taking their phones or a digital camera and just filming because it looks bad. Sometimes you have to do it for lower budgeted stuff, but this is David Lynch, who has made some of the best films ever made, and he's made some great looking movies, but this is just not that good looking and not great to look at all. And honestly, it made it hard to watch. The movie feels more like an experiment than an actual film, and you can definitely tell it feels more like a passion project of Lynch's that he just wanted to see what he could do with the camera, and it failed in my opinion, but others may really like this film, and more power to them. I just didn't find this film very compelling, and honestly, it's probably my least favorite David Lynch film. Yeah, Dune might be a worse movie, but the thing with Dune is I can see myself sitting down and watching it again. But this is a chore to sit through. It's 3 hours. And I usually love really long movies, but when they're this abstract, it's hard to watch and it's hard to get invested. In fact, I was really invested in the first hour of the movie, but then David Lynch starts going down basically a rabbit hole of just insane visuals and just weird abstract storytelling that, I mean, I could go into detail and read up on it to kind of understand what's going on, but after watching the movie, I just didn't have any desire. I was kind of burnt out when seeing it. There are some of the weird elements that I really like, though, such as this one scene in the film. In fact, it's just a single shot of basically Laura Dern's face overstretched on a person's body, and when it happens, it's kind of like a jump scare, but not really, but it's one of the most disturbing images I've seen, and you might look at it and be like, oh, that's stupid or silly, but when it was shown in the film, this really terrified me. It's really creepy. Other creepy things about the film that I really enjoyed is David Lynch has these segments in the film that I don't know how they connect to the story overall, but there are these scenes with these rabbits. They're basically people in rabbit suits wearing normal, everyday attire, and they're basically sitting down, and it's presented to us like a sitcom. And it's really, really creepy and uncomfortable. That's the thing. It makes me really uncomfortable watching these scenes And honestly, I could have gone with an hour and a half movie about these rabbits because these are really interesting and really creepy visuals, and I don't know. I just really love that stuff. In fact, I'll show you a clip from the movie to just show you what these rabbits are like.
I am going to find out one day.
When will you tell it?
Who could have known?
What time is it?
See? Creepy. Guys, I really don't know what else to say about this movie. I've pretty much already said all I've wanted to about it. There's some stuff I really like about it. I love that first act, and I love that third act, but that second act is just so slow and so boring and just too abstract for me to comprehend. And I hate saying that because you have to do a lot of work when watching a David Lynch film, and this could basically hurt my brain, and I really don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, I don't think I'm ever going to watch this ever again. It's not something that I'm just wanting to see as soon as I finished it. Kind of like Mulholland Drive. Even though I gave that movie a 7 out of 10, I wanted to see it again. Because it gave me questions that I hope could be answered by watching the movie again. I don't have that with this film. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I give Inland Empire a 5 out of 10. Guys, I really hate that this is my final David Lynch film and that it ended up being so disappointing because I love David Lynch as a filmmaker. I love most of his movies. In fact, I like all of his movies, but this is definitely my least favorite. And, I mean, that's okay. We don't have to like every single movie a director makes, but it's disappointing that this is his final one. Anyway, guys, that's all for all the David Lynch films. This was pretty awesome, but there's one more review coming up, and that's for Twin Peaks: The Return, the final season of Twin Peaks, or supposed final season, that takes place 25 years later, and I can't wait to do that because I've already seen it before, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, I really like it. But anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.